Picture this. Manhattan Federal Court, July 2025. The world's watching as Sean Diddy Combs faces a battery of federal charges: racketeering, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution. Headlines are screaming, court sketches go viral, and every move is broadcast. Now, why did this case blow up so big so fast? Two-word celebrity scrutiny. When a hip-hop mogul faces the full might of the DOJ, it's not just about guilt or innocence. It's about narrative, power, and public perception. You might be thinking, isn't this just another celebrity scandal? But zoom in, federal charges carry a weight that eclipses tabloid drama. RICO statute, man act, these aren't just legal jargon, they're tools prosecutors wield to make a statement. Let's break down what was really on trial. Not just Diddy, but the boundaries of accountability and the reach of American justice. So, how did we get here? Let's rewind to the first domino. March 2024, DOJ launches its probe. May, CNN airs that explosive surveillance video of Diddy and Cassie Ventura. Suddenly, whispers turn to shouts. By July, the grand jury indicts on 5 federal counts. The stage is set. Fast forward to May 2025. The trial begins. Think marathon, not sprint. July 20, the jury delivers a mixed verdict. Acquitted on the heavy hitters RICO and sex trafficking. But 2 convictions for transportation for prostitution land like a sucker punch. Now, let me tell you, the day after, Mark Geragos steps to the mic and calls the prosecution's case a colossal failure. If you're picturing drama, you're spot on. But underneath the headlines, a chess match has just finished done, where not every piece survived, but the king never fell. So what tipped the scales? That's where strategy meets spectacle. Let's crack open the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Why does this matter? Because trials aren't just about law, they're about leverage and narrative. Strengths? The defense dodged the most severe charges. The prosecution, by overcharging, think RICO, a statute designed for mobsters, may have actually undermined its credibility. The jury saw through what Mark Geragos called morality policing. But there were weaknesses. The media circus could have poisoned the well, and even without a defense witness, convictions on 2 counts still pack legal and reputational heat. Opportunities? Massive. Diddy's team now controls the redemption narrative, and the public starts questioning prosecutorial overreach. But the threats loom: appeals, civil suits, and the DOJ that may double down. It's a high-wire act, and the safety net is frayed. Let's decode the defense's playbook with the most lens: mission, objectives, strategy, tactics. Ever wonder how legal teams choreograph a trial? Here's how the Geragos team did it. Their mission: expose cracks in the prosecution's case. The objective: secure acquittal on the headline charges and publicly discredit what they saw as prosecutorial overreach. Their strategy? Minimalism. No defense witnesses. Just surgical cross-examination to highlight inconsistencies, like a surgeon using a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. The tactics were subtle. Focus the jury's attention on gaps and contradictions, and let the prosecution's case collapse under its own weight. Now, you might be thinking, is less really more? In this case, restraint turned out to be the ultimate power move. Enter sharp. Strategy, hindrances, actions, resources, people. Legal warfare isn't just about evidence, it's about reading the battlefield and adapting in real time. The defense's strategy was to undermine prosecution credibility, but their hindrances? Relentless media bias and that damning surveillance video. How did they respond? Through focused messaging to the jury, avoiding inflammatory rebuttals that could alienate them. Think of it like a chess grandmaster calmly countering every aggressive move, never losing composure. Their resources were formidable: a high-profile legal team and a PR machine ready to frame every development. And the people? Tenny Geragos led the charge. Mark Geragos was the strategist-in-chief, and Diddy's PR team kept the narrative tight. The result? A defense that looked almost effortless, but was meticulously engineered. Let's sharpen our focus with a spear framework: situation, problem, effect, action, result. Imagine the courtroom as a chessboard, every move calculated. The situation: a high-profile trial under a microscope. The problem: prosecutors overcharged and relied heavily on emotional testimony and that viral video we'd call prejudicial evidence. The effect: the jury started sniffing out the overreach. The action: the defense used restraint and precise cross-examination, never giving the prosecution more ammo. And the result? Partial acquittal. The prosecution's credibility took a hit, and the defense walked away with the narrative upper hand. Now, if you're wondering if courtroom drama is ever this calculated, trust me, behind every headline, there's a strategy session with whiteboards and bullet points. Zooming out with a pestle analysis: political, economic, social, technological, environmental, legal. Think of this as the ecosystem that breeds high-profile cases. Politically, the DOJ faced pressure to prosecute celebrities, fueling aggressive charges. Economically, millions in taxpayer dollars were spent in invisible costs often ignored. Socially, the public was torn between a hunger for celebrity accountability and the bedrock of due process. Technologically, surveillance footage was a double-edged sword: impactful, but also polarizing. Legally, the trial sparked debate on whether RICO and the Mann Act fit this case, and while the environmental angle was nil, the case left a carbon footprint in the legal landscape. So when you ask, why did this trial matter? It was a mirror for our anxieties about justice, power, and media. Let's connect the dots. What caused the prosecution stumble? Over-rechoosing statutes like RICO, designed for organized crime, in a celebrity case. The effect? The jury rejected the most serious charges. The defense didn't even have to call a witness, a rare feat. Public debate erupted. Was this justice or a spectacle? Geragos seized the moment, framing the outcome as a systemic failure, sparking national conversations on prosecutorial ethics. Now, you might ask, did the prosecution ever stand a chance? The truth: when you overplay your hand, even a strong case can unravel. The lesson? In law, as in chess, precision beats bravado every time. Let's talk about the media machine. From leaked surveillance footage to Twitter threads dissecting every facial twitch, this trial was as much about optics as it was about law. Consider the concept of pretrial publicity, where coverage can plant seeds of bias in the public and, more dangerously, the jury pool. It's like trying to get a fair game when the scoreboard's already glowing. Now, you might be thinking, doesn't the judge keep the jury neutral? In theory, yes. But in practice, when every coffee shop and feed is buzzing about Diddy, neutrality is a myth. The defense knew this. They played the long game, crafting a counter-narrative, using strategic leaks, and keeping Diddy's brand alive, even in crisis mode. The result? The courtroom became a theater, and the audience, both jurors and the public, left with more questions than answers. Verdict delivered, mics off, but the real reckoning begins now. Diddy faces sentencing for 2 convictions, no small matter, but the acquittals shift the spotlight. Geragos' colossal failure line isn't just gloating, it's a shot across the bow for future prosecutors. The message: don't confuse public outrage with a winnable case. Ethically, the trial forces us to ask, how far should the state go in policing morality versus criminality? And reputationally, Diddy's brand faces a long rehab, but the seeds of redemption are already being sown. Let me leave you with this. In the court of law and the court of public opinion, winning isn't always about the final score, it's about who gets to tell the story next. And in this saga, the narrative is far from over. Stay tuned.